My name is Dylan Minnette, and I play Wes Hicks. I definitely had seen Scream growing up, probably when I was younger. I got into horror and like slasher films, I feel like, when I was young. But I think it took me when I was about 19, maybe 20, re-watching it again one Halloween with some friends, the first Scream. And I remember just thinking, like, how have I never realized how brilliant this movie is? And after watching it that one night, I decided, I was like, that's, if not my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. Top 5, hands down. Like, it's because it's not only like a perfect homage and love letter to the horror genre in general, and like, but it's also, it's so self-aware and it's so brilliant and meta, and it's funny, and it just puts everything you could ever want for like a pleasing movie experience all into one movie. And yeah, I love it so much. I think that the reason the franchise has stuck with people for so long is because I just think it created so many iconic moments and iconic characters that it's just timeless at this point. Like, watching Scream, it ages perfectly well. There's nothing dated about that movie because it was so self-aware from the get-go and so aware and of every single choice that it made, and it was satire. It was able to make fun of itself and make fun of the genre that it is while also being a completely effective slasher film. I don't think the hype of this franchise will ever die. It's just timeless. And they're a directing duo, which I'm not really used to, and I don't think anyone on this is, but they do it so effectively, and it like is great because Tyler will go over and handle something really technical while Matt's coming over and telling us something about, a note with our characters, and I just think it's a really productive and effective process. I just think that, look, Ready or Not was incredible. They're just so talented and so smart, and I knew that when I first got on a Zoom call with them and talked about this, and I was just sold by talking to them in 1 second. I was like, I really want to do this with them. I know they're going to make a good movie. Like, they're smart. I know. And just being here and seeing what we've been shooting so far, I was right, and I'm just so excited to see how it turns out. Yeah, I would just say that it's not quite a sequel, and it's not quite a reboot. It's both, and it moves the story forward, but also brings new life into the franchise and starts to focus more on new characters while also not completely betraying or ignoring the originals at all. Wes is the son of Judy Hicks, and I think that Wes is, like, when I first read the script, Wes just seemed sort of like the nerdy friend or something, but as there were some rewrites and as I talked with Matt and Tyler more about it, and once I started to read it with the rest of the cast, Wes isn't just a nerdy kid. I think he is smart. I think he's cool. And I think that he's just he's still a little sheltered by his mom and is still sort of a mama's boy, but he's like developed in certain ways, but just still a little bit behind in other ways. I think in the way he dresses and like, and his sort of like, his relationship with his mom, like he likes sort of being mothered by her, whether he lets her know it or not. But I think the thing about Wes is that he's extremely protective of his friends. I think like what makes a good horror film is just making sure that like the horror movies can be fun and funny, but like when it needs to be scary, it needs to be actually scary. Like, people shouldn't be laughing at something because it's not scary and it's just funny. And I think that's what Scream pulls off so well, is that like you can be laughing 1 second, but then as soon as Ghostface is out there with a knife, like you're really scared. The death scenes have to be convincing. Everything has to go right. The blood has to be convincing. The performance of the person getting killed has to be convincing, and the physicality of the killer has to be convincing. And I think that they seem to be pulling it off so well with this. I'm just most excited for audiences to see that all the original qualities of the first film that made everyone fall in love with this franchise and make it as successful as it is in the first place, it's all there. Because it sort of acts as a reboot in a certain sense, it's very aware of what it has to do and the energy that it has to have and the tone and the scares. Like, it really, I think it's doing a great job of pulling off what the first one did. So I think that the old fans that are looking for that will have that. But I also think that new people who haven't seen the original Scream movies and like the idea of Ghostface, because everyone knows what Ghostface is, that want to go see this will also fall in love with it, hopefully, because it is like the first one in tone and in a lot of ways. So I just think that it checks the boxes for everyone. It's scary, it's funny, it's thrilling, it's a really effective mystery.